Let's go.
Yeah, just first want to say hi to everyone and thank you for joining. Want to tell you a bit about FMB, which is so FMB is a radio. It's an online community radio station. We are based in Nottingham, and our aim is to amplify community voices by enabling individuals and organisations to tell their story in their own way. And today we are joined with Honey, who hosts a radio show called Respect My Voice on FMB. And we are going to do a little interview with Honey today while we're on the live. It's going to be split into three main parts. We're going to get a little bit of background on Honey. We're then going to find out a bit about Respect My Voice, and then finally about making a FMB radio show. We've got a few questions already that we prepared, and also that were given to us by a story that we posted yesterday. And then if anyone has any questions, they can just feel free to comment them and we will add them in. So get started. First question is just about a bit of background on Honey, which is, can you give us a bit of background information about yourself?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Honey. I'm 19. I am a first year at the University of Nottingham. I study politics and international relations, which is very fun at the moment. Lots going on, lots to learn about. Bit of a nightmare to keep up with it, really, but there we go. Yeah, I am from Kent, though, so quite a way away. I've lived near Dover, which in like quite a rural area. I have a tea collection and I love animals.
You mentioned that you studied politics and international relations. Do you have, like, why did you choose to study politics?
Okay. I think I really liked doing languages at GCSE level, and I really liked particularly learning about different cultures and things. So I feel like that sort of worked its way into politics, and I liked history as well. So it's like an amalgamation of all those subjects, and sort of just learning about how the world works through like a governmental sort of perspective. Yeah.
That sounds good. And also, obviously, you said that you're at the University of Nottingham. We've been living here since September, so it's getting used to being a new place. But what's the thing that you've liked most about living in Nottingham?
I think I really like the community. Moving to a big city, I wasn't expecting it to be quite so like tight knit. Because like coming from quite a rural area, everyone knew each other. It was quite a small sort of place. And here I was very overwhelmed initially, but there's so many people, everyone's so friendly, and there's always somewhere to turn. Yeah.
What would you say the biggest difference between living in a quite a rural town and then coming up to a big city is?
I think, yeah, like I was saying, there's a lot more like resources here, a lot more charities, a lot more places to reach out to. Like you never get bored. And also it's just a lot noisier. I know one of my flatmates is from London, and whenever I hear a siren, I go, oh, it's a siren, something's happening. And she goes, yeah, when you're living in London, that's just the norm.
Let's get used to it, yeah. Yeah, I think, do you want to give us any more information about yourself? But if not, we'll start to go on about your great show.
I mean, unless you want me to go on about my tea collection. No, it's all right, we can move on.
Yeah, so as I said when we were introducing, you have a show, it's called Respect Your Voice. Very good show, happening every week if people want to tune in. But what is the aim of your show, Respect My Voice?
So the show was created to amplify the voices of marginalised communities. So basically what I do every show is give a bit of background information, and then I launch into an interview with a member of like the select community that I'm discussing that day, just to sort of give them a platform and have a conversation with them, an open conversation, which I think is really important. Yeah, so that's what we do.
I mean, so you said that you think it's important, but why do you think it is so important to amplify minority voices?
I think that a lot of people who sort of live in sort of not hate, but like they're disillusioned with like the woke sort of way of life. They it comes from a place of ignorance. often, and people haven't grown up alongside people of other cultures. So I think it's really important to sort of allow people the opportunity to actually interact with people of other cultures and hear from them firsthand, because without that, I think people just live in their own bubbles and sort of feed off other people who have lived in their own bubbles. So yeah, I think that's really important. And I also just I'm really grateful for the opportunity to extend sort of an invite to people whose experiences don't often get light shed on them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to a couple of your shows, obviously, and you've done some really great topics about like LGBTQ people and obviously, like you said, minority voices. Are there any topics that you want to cover later on, or that we can look forward to in your future shows?
So next week is about trans rights, which I am very excited about, especially given sort of the hubbub about trans rights in America, about sort of young people not being able to compete in sports of their gender, and also here with the Gender Recognition Act. But also later on, I would like to do stuff about religious tolerance. So if anyone has any ideas for that, just let me know. My email is honey@fmbradio.com. So yeah, any other suggestions, people just drop them in. Yeah, I've got so many ideas though.
What made you actually decide to cover the content that you do? You obviously said that it's really important, but is there anything more specific that made you decide that that's what you wanted to do when you got the opportunity to create a show?
I think that actually coming to Nottingham, well, coming from a very conservative, very kind of like segregated area, I didn't have that many experiences with people from other cultures. So coming here has been a huge change for me, but it's also made me think a lot more about the experiences that other people face that I, having the privilege that I do, don't. And so through talking with other people, I sort of have created a bit of a list of things. But also through, so I'm a queer woman, and growing up in an area where LGBT people were just sort of silenced, they weren't sort of allowed to be themselves. And it's something that's sort of close to my heart, and yeah, growing up in that sort of environment is very stifling. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity to sort of combat that a little bit.
It must be really nice to come from, like you said, quite a rural area to a big city like Nottingham that's quite, well, there's a lot, it's quite accepting. You obviously have, I mean, I'm on Jubilee campus and we have the crosswalk that's the rainbow crosswalk, so stuff like that.
Yeah.
It must be quite nice from coming from a different area to then something where it's quite open and it's quite kind of accepted.
Absolutely, yeah.
As you said in your shows, what you tend to do is talk about a topic and then get someone on to interview. You've had a couple of good interviews so far. Is there any exciting interviews that we can look forward to?
I can tease next shows. So it's with a transgender support group, a local one, who have been running for more than 40 years. So yeah, ever since really being gay was decriminalised. And they're talking about sort of the struggles of trans people in the UK specifically and locally. But they do absolutely incredible work, sort of bringing trans people together. I'm excited about that.
That sounds great. It sounds really interesting. Then kind of covered what's on about your show, if there's anything else you want to mention, but it's, yeah, like you said, tune in every week. It's a great show, very fun to listen to.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think we're now going to move on to what it's like being working at FMB. Obviously we've both took part in placement that started in January. So just how has your time been working at FMB?
Oh, it's been lovely. It's been incredible. Everyone is so friendly, and I'm not just saying that as well. Genuinely, I think that I've actually learned so much, and I know that I'm supposed to be the one teaching other people, but I feel like it's a cycle, you know. I learn, I teach. So I'm just so honoured to be here. It's been great.
Yeah, it has. It's been so fun. I mean, I've really enjoyed it as well. So I'm sure you getting some airtime and getting to do what you love and talking about minority voice and stuff must be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just why did you actually want to kind of be a radio presenter for FMB, or what made you choose to do, because obviously we do different things at FMB, so what specifically made you pick kind of to be that radio presenter role?
Well, so like you said, we came on here through a uni placement, and I was sort of scrolling through all of the possible placements, and none of them were really like catching my eye. I was sort of looking for something that would sort of make a difference in a way, a small way. And yeah, this caught my eye. I was like, oh, it's very like community based. That's something I'm very into. And I was having my interview with Anna, our supervisor. Hi, Anna. And she was like, what do you think you can bring? And I was like, what do I think I could bring? And we were talking about how the coronavirus has impacted people. And I was like, I just feel like I want to be a bit more of an uplifting voice, someone to spread a bit more positivity, be a bit more of a sunshiny person, hopefully on the airwaves. So yeah, I feel like that's what drew me to it.
I mean, I do politics and IR as well, and I think when I was scrolling through the list, like you said, I was just like, okay, this is pretty much the same job over and over again. And then I saw
council jobs, yeah,
it's FMB, and it's like, oh, a fun radio company where you can do something that's quite different to what we would have done. And like you said, having interviews with Anna and stuff, you just kind of find out more about the company, and you're like, yes, can you please take me for placement? Please have me. What has been the most challenging thing about being a radio presenter at FMB, and how did you kind of overcome this challenge?
Okay. Oh, fun question.
Yeah, got to be careful because Anna's on the live. Can't say anything wrong.
It has not been Anna. Anna has been brilliant. I think the most challenging thing has been COVID, because obviously it's quite like a social job, and the interviews have all had to take place over Zoom. So it's been difficult trying to get sort of that rapport with the guests. I think we've managed it so far. But yeah, that has been a bit tricky. I'd quite like to, when like restrictions lift, obviously, be able to sort of go out into the world a bit more, and maybe it would be more accessible for other guests who don't necessarily have like the access to Zoom. So yes, looking forward to that.
I mean, I would say it's quite weird because obviously we've done some work together, and it's really weird because you're like, oh yeah, I know this person, I've spoken to them before, but you're like, I don't really know this person because I've never actually met them before. This
is the first time I've seen your face that hasn't been like an icon or an email. Yeah, it's really weird.
That is all the pre-planned questions we have. I can see that there's actually a few questions that people have submitted that I will look at. So one of them is, what was your favourite show to make so far?
Oh, okay. I think I feel like I'm proud of all of them. I can't really pick a favourite, but my favourite one to like compile was probably either Traveller's Rights, because I got to make a fun quiz for that. So if you guys want to try out the quiz, go and listen to it on Spotify. But also the LGBT History Month one, because I had an interview with the lovely Marilyn Sane, drag queen, gorgeous person, and we had a lot of banter in that interview. I may have called him old. Whoops. But yeah, actually like looking through the archives and seeing how like history rich Nottingham is like for LGBT history, it made a change from my like environment at home. But it also like, I don't know, it made me feel like I was closer to the LGBT community, which, you know, I'm part of, and like learning about the history. It was just fascinating for me anyway, but I'm hoping that the listeners found it interesting too.
One of their questions has actually been, can we listen to your show on Spotify, which you just mentioned that they can.
There we go.
So I think there's a couple of posts on the Instagram if people want to go and actually find it on Spotify, because obviously that's where it will be linked.
Yeah, if you just search Respect My Voice on Spotify, it will come up. Yes, and it will be like a logo, the FMB logo, and it will just say it in like yellow writing. There we go.
So one of the other questions is, what skills could you develop during your placement?
Ooh, this sounds like, at the end of the placement, you have to do like a little
Yeah.
write-up. It sounds like one of those. I think that actually it's helped me with my technology because I grew up with my grandparents and I wasn't very technologically minded. I didn't really grow up. I didn't have Wi-Fi until like year 8. Um, so this has been like a lot to catch up with, but like it's not been unmanageable. So I feel like I've got a lot more proficient in like Zoom, and I mean the beginning of the life was a bit
bit tricky
wobbly, but we got here in the end. Yeah. Yeah, so that, and also my interviewing skills. Yeah, because I feel like in everyday life you have a conversation, and I've been able to extend that to my interviews, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that kind of technology because they give you so many things that they're just like, oh yeah, you can just use this, and you're like, oh, I've never used that before, so it's gonna take me a while.
Let me go and Google.
Yeah, I've got to figure out how to do it, but then yeah, once you get it down, it's obviously good. We have one more question that has been submitted, which is how is it to work completely online, which you kind of covered, but I guess go into a bit more detail about that.
Okay. Well, I could give some advice on this. I think that having it be like in one place, one room, is really difficult. I don't know how like other people work, but for me, I found it very difficult. So what I like to do is split up my tasks. So I'll do my script writing in the library where it's nice and quiet, it's very chill, and I can go and grab books if I need them. And then I'll do like my recording in my flat. Hopefully, like normally I message my flatmates just before and be like, hey guys, please don't be noisy. I'm so sorry. I'm just going to do a radio show. Don't hoover, don't use the blender. But yes, they're absolutely lovely about it. Yeah, so it's been a bit weird having to find different ways to sort of manage it. But honestly, I haven't minded it too much. Zoom's still a bit odd, but yeah, we move.
Yeah, no, I would agree. It's quite difficult because you sit and do your uni work for however long in the day, and then you're like, oh, I'm sitting in the same room, but I've just got to do some other work. So it's like, oh, great, sat in my room all day today. But yeah, no, it's been really good. There's one more question that's actually just come through, which is how do you balance your uni and radio work, which you kind of said a bit, but maybe just again go into a bit more detail.
So normally what I try and do is keep my uni work to a certain sort of day or a couple of days, sort of maybe 2 afternoons, or like a library session or something like that, because they do them in like 3-hour blocks. So I find that a lot more useful. So basically what I do during my day is I plan out my chores for the day, my uni/placement work, and then something fun to do. So I have like 3 main goals. So I try and keep that sort of all separate, but try and keep like a good balance between them. Yeah, I can't say that it's been as difficult as I thought it would be. I was really stressing at the beginning. I was like, no, I won't be able to do all of this, but it's actually slotted into each other quite well. So yeah, no worries there.
I think, well, you sound a lot more organised than I am with your kind of 3-part system. Yeah, I would agree that it's not been as bad as I thought, but it's just when you have all of your deadlines for uni as well, it's then just like, oh God, I've got this coming up and this coming up. That can get a bit stressful, I guess. But otherwise, I would agree with you that it has been quite okay. I think that is all the questions that we've been submitted and all the questions that we had planned, unless anyone in the chat now wants to submit any more, but I don't know if we will get any.
Feel free.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'm pointing in the right area, but yeah.
I mean, hopefully this will become a bit more of a regular thing on FMB with hopefully a range of different radio presenters as well as Honey.
Or you can just have me every week,
constantly.
If you guys like.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, so I think we're kind of drawing to the end. I just want to say thank you for Honey for being here as well, and everyone that sent in questions and everyone that joined. yeah, Respect My Voice is Wednesdays at 6 p.m, which is obviously Honey's show. As I said, this week is about trans rights, or whenever it'll be coming out, it's about trans rights. So definitely tune in then. Tune in to FMB always. Got a good May schedule that we've now got. You can listen to everything all the time. Yeah, thank you for participating. Thank you for coming, Honey. It's been great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Hope everyone has a good rest of the weekend.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.